Hi there. So I'm presenting on Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I have lived here for about 7 years, and this is where I have decided to do some research for this presentation on what makes a good community. And I would say that based on my research and just my experience living here, um, Lancaster is, in fact, a good community, and here's why. So, according to the notes from Seeking the Good Community, safety, goods and services, finding relationships, community goals, whole person principle, predictability, acknowledgement, opportunities for fulfillment, and I'm not going to say this right, but homogeneity and heterogeneity, homogeneity. These are some of the factors which contribute to what makes a good community. And I'll sort of try to illustrate how Lancaster meets some of these requirements for a good community. In terms of the demographics, Lancaster is famous for being an Amish town. So there are there's a community of Amish and also of Mennonites that are slightly less conservative than that of the Amish community. That's kind of how this city was founded. So it has old German heritage, and is surrounded by beautiful nature. The place that I live is a small central hub, a small city, sort of surrounded by the Susquehanna and some beautiful rolling hills, and also lots of farmland where the Amish do their farming. So that said, the population. I just did a quick check of Lancaster Township, which is more rural, and than Lancaster City, where I live. And Lancaster City has a population of about 60,000 people, so fairly high concentration of people in a small area. In terms of the races that make up this city, it's predominantly white, and that's true for the county at large. Large Hispanic population. Actually, I think that I found a statistic that the predominant race is Puerto Rican, and so that's reflected here in the statistic, and with some other minorities. Um, but primarily in the city, it's white and black and Hispanic. In terms of gender and age, I'm not really sure how the source that I found this information is defining gender. I think that probably, with things shifting in terms of gender, I think that probably should be adjusted. But it's basically half and half, male and female, in the city. And the average age is pretty young. It's about 30. So high concentration of millennials, and that's kind of the joke among my friends and I who live here. I'm 35, but really the the reason that people are sort of flocking to the city is for those that live in New York and Philadelphia. Many people are moving here to start families, to have a little more peace of mind in their environment, but still have, easy access to DC and more metropolitan rather areas. So the average age is fairly youthful. And I found this statistic because I thought it was interesting to sort of note that the number of people that are born in Pennsylvania is a pretty significant percentage of people living in the city that are born here, born in the state. And then in terms of native born, like born in North America. However, so that would demonstrate homogeneity. I'm going to keep saying that word wrong, but um, however, when our current president started talking about immigration and changing the policies for immigration, our mayor at the time declared Lancaster City as a sanctuary city. So that was really pretty radical considering how white and how many natives and how conservative this community is. But it really represented a willingness to be safe harbor for immigrants, which I think makes this place a really good city, and the acknowledgement of the whole person principle that every person has a right to be seen and heard and have a place to be. Quality of life and shared goals and values. The crime has generally gone down. Looking at this chart, I was disappointed to see that assaults, that specifically sexual assault, has gone up pretty significantly in the last 10 or so years. So that was surprising to me. But there's been a big push in the last 10 years for Lancaster to really improve the crime and increase or decrease crime and improve safety. And you can see that reflected in the statistic here. Um, Murders, I guess at some point they've kind of returned to an earlier statistic in 2003, but there was a time where there was an effort to really reduce crime, and I think overall that's true. Institutions and relationships. So if relationships are a part of what makes a city really important or really good, um, there is a lot of access for people in this community to have higher education, to be able to go to school post-secondary. Um, so Franklin and Marshall, Millersville, PCAT is a College of Art and Design. There's a College of Health Sciences. LGH is a huge institution here. It's a healthcare system here. It's a huge, employs a huge population of people. So the Pennsylvania College of Health and Sciences um, really funnels graduates into LGH as a system. And then Thaddeus Stevens is a tech school. So predictability, goods and services, and relationships, all things that a good city should have. This photo is a little pixelated, but this is Lancaster Central Market. It's the longest withstanding market in the country, and it's really a staple of our community. People go there. I in fact go there every Friday to get my groceries, and while I'm there, I run into um, friends. I used to work at an organic food stand here, so I go and I buy my vegetables and I chat with my friend Laura, and then I go to the herb shop and say hi to Corey, and then I go get my cup of coffee, and the people, we all have these rhythms and routines. I see many friends, if I go at 11 o'clock, I know I'll run into my friend Bob, and it's really a unique and sort of old world way to get my goods, to have routines and to have relationships. As far as formal institutions, the Mennonite Central Committee offers relief, development, and justice with a Christian um, mission all around the world, and the MCC is a staple in our community. They do a lot of work with refugees here and provide a lot of humanitarian efforts. So that's a huge component of Lancaster. Every year we have an annual community celebration, a really fun 4th of July event that brings everyone together for fireworks and food. And recently, this seems trite, but recently in my neighborhood, which is a cusp neighborhood, three small business owners opened up a place called Decades, and it's a restaurant. Um, it's the first place I've seen in Lancaster which hosts and boasts many restaurants that all tend to be fairly high end. This particular place is the first time I've seen a real cross-cultural mix of people, of ages, of races, of ethnicities. It's pretty awesome in that respect, and it's in a part of the city that there aren't many other businesses. So I think it reflects a goal of really connecting people in a more meaningful way, getting people to know their neighbors, to actually get a sense of who lives where this business is, as opposed to taking a drive or going to the quote unquote downtown to go to a restaurant. So, shameless plug, I think that Lancaster is a good place, and I also think there's room for growth. I started with a friend an entity called Lancaster Transplant several years ago, and basically with the goal of welcoming people who are not from Lancaster, welcoming them really actively, bringing them together. We host events to create a sense of camaraderie for newcomers, and because we felt like that was something that was missing in Lancaster in terms of building relationships, because it's such a generationally old German community, primarily white community, or at least that's really what you see when you're out and about in certain places. We thought it was important to bring people together to continue to help the growth of the city and help it become more inclusive. So that's my home, and I would say it's a good city. And the last thing, most important thing, my references. Thanks, guys.